Hi guys, good morning. This is Dan. Welcome to Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. For those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your subscriptions. This is the daily all signs, actually this is the weekly all signs reading. It is the underpinning energy of the week. Each card will last for a day or two during this week as the underpinning energy of what's going on, what we need to be made aware of. It's originally created for Sunday, October 2nd through the 6th, 7th, through the 8th. So Saturday the 8th. If you are seeing it on a different date other than when it was originally created for, if it fits within your situation, by all means, utilize it. For those of you that are new, please check out the drop-down menu in there underneath the daily video. And there are some things I want you to think about. What decks I'm using, how to contact me via social media, private reading, and easy ways to support the channel. If you enjoy the content, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, share the video out, and leave me a question or comment. I greatly appreciate all of it, and it's a great way to support the channel. So let's see what's going on in the cards this week. So our first card out in the early part of the week is the Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands is about sort of defending one's position, right? Sort of holding tight, holding fast, towing the line, right? Yesterday in Sunday's reading, we saw the Tower. And there could be something that somebody's trying to hold on to, keep perspective on, a truth or a realization, a perception, a desire that we find that we need to fight for. We know on some level that we need to fight for it. And the reason why I say no is because of this sort of, it looks like an orange slice above her crown chakra, but she's in this knowing. She's also standing firm. She doesn't particularly look like she's fighting, which oftentimes in a traditional tarot deck, the guy is fighting back 6 other wands. She actually looks secure in what she knows in there, in the defense of who she is, what she feels at a deeper soul level, right? Because this would be wands. This would be about the spirit. To me, I get a sense that this is us standing in our truth, our spiritual truth to some degree, and holding tight to that or holding fast to that. Not necessarily in a means of resistance, just like this is our truth. This is maybe what we want, what we desire, how things need to be for us. And there, like I said, I don't get this sense of fight or resistance. I get this sense of just like almost a gentle understanding of what it is to be true for us. Does that make sense? I love that we have this triangle here because it's the mind, body, and spirit kind of coming together in this truth and backing us up or backing her up in towing the line or standing firm in what we believe and what we need, right? So I think that looking at our desires in the early part of the week and then honoring them by being true to them is going to be important regardless of what other people's actions are, what they do, how they behave. Don't let those things sway you or change you. Stay the course is my feeling with this card. Now let's look at the midweek. The midweek is the moon. The moon is Cancer, and represented by Cancer and Pisces energy. The moon can sometimes be about, I don't want to say deception, but confusion, right? Because the moon is the light of the moon is darker. It's harder to see, say, maybe the truth. And so oftentimes people associate the moon negatively. What I feel like is that woman that's standing behind the 7 of wands steps forward into her intuition and her power in the midweek, right? What we know to be true, what we were figuring out in the 7 of wands, what we were fighting for or standing truthful in. The midweek tells us that, intuitively, we have that answer within us. We have the strength to sort of emanate that out or listen to that intuition, to trust that intuition. I feel like she has stepped out from behind her wands, knowing in a more powerful, emotional, and intuitional, I don't know if intuitional is a word, but in a more intuitive way, what our truth is, and standing in that light, even if that light doesn't necessarily coincide or make sense to others, right? So there is this, I almost want to say a strength here that I don't necessarily normally feel with this card, right? Or with this card combination. This is about listening to our inner voice this week. This is about listening to not only the spirit of the Seven of Wands and the fight that's in there, or the strength that's in there to hold tight to it, but it's also about deepening that strength or that listen or that connection to the self through our intuition, through our emotions with the moon. The moon is backing her up, right? It's shining the sort of a light behind her, emanating from within her. There's a truth to be told there. If we have any confusion, or if things are acting confusing around us, like in situations or people, this is about trusting ourselves rather than like looking to the outside environment for indication of what's right or correct, right? This is about going inward and listening to that voice, that guidance that is within, that intuition that is our truth. So I like that. All right, so let's go to the end of the week card and see what that is. We have the Seven of Swords. Interesting that he shows up. We have the Seven of Wands and then the Seven of Swords. Like we have 7 and 7. Sevens are oftentimes about change or shifting, right? Things shifting and changing. The Seven of Swords can oftentimes be the liar, cheater, stealer card, right? Or somebody's not necessarily telling the truth. I feel like there's a lot of truth in the Seven of Wands and in the moon, but it's like our truth. And that truth might come up against someone else's truth that may not be accurate for us. Does that make sense? I don't get a feeling that we're being lied to or cheated by or on or stolen from. What I feel like this card is telling us is that at the end of the week, we might find that our truth is not in alignment with another's. And doesn't necessarily mean that their truth is wrong per se, but it's certainly not ours. It doesn't fit with what we know to be true within ourselves. Does that make sense? And so we may be faced with that at the end of this week, where we're looking at that and trying to assess or line up how and where these two truths or these two situations fit. Now, the Seven of Swords could be somebody that is like outwardly not telling us the truth, or a situation that's not honoring us in the way that we know we need to be honored. But I do feel like the two previous cards tell us that it's kind of like more our job to honor ourselves in that way than the expectation of, say, a person or a situation or an environment outside of ourselves to honor that. I feel like we're not going to get that validation from whatever the outside source is, because we see the Seven of Swords here. Does that make sense? I don't necessarily get a nefarious or bad feeling from this Seven of Swords. I get more of okay, so this doesn't fit, sort of feeling, right? And us having to take a look at that and sort of assess whether or not whatever it is we're dealing with, whether it be a situation or a person outside of ourselves, are they in alignment with who we are and what our truth is, right? Whatever that Seven of Wands is at the beginning of the week is almost, I don't want to say in conflict with the Seven of Swords. The Wands and Swords feed off of each other, right? But whatever the truth is that we have here that we're holding on to, or that we're like kind of trying to manifest, keep tight, like keep attention on, this is kind of, to me, in direct conflict isn't the right word. That's the word here. What I'm trying to say is that swords and fire feed off of each other. They feed each other and they're compatible. But there's a discord here in the sense that we have to know our truth and our intuition and where we're being guided. And then we have to stand tight and tall and strong in that. The Seven of Swords is going to present a different opinion, a different perspective, one that doesn't necessarily fit, one that doesn't feel accurate to me. And so how we decide to move forward with this information may be told throughout this week or in the next week's reading. But it's interesting to me because I feel like the Seven of Swords is going to show us at week's end, the difference in who we are versus what the situation is, how we perceive a situation versus how they perceive a situation. And there is a difference there. There is something that doesn't quite fit. There is something that doesn't necessarily work. Let's just say it that way. I'm going to say this gold, like, it's not a coin, but to me, it looks like the sun. To me, even though all of the swords are pinned into it, it almost feels like, to me, like the truth. Even though the Seven of Swords represents like sort of a lie or whatever, it's like the truth of whatever the Seven of Swords is, there's a light that comes from this golden coin or this sun behind it. There's a realization that comes from this. And although the realization may not be like, easier or pleasant, it's there to sort of assist us, is my feeling. So keep that in mind as you move forward through the end of the week. We may have to reassess. We may have to, reinventory, check our motives to someone else's. It's that kind of a thing. And it doesn't feel like it's going to maybe line up completely or connect as easily as we would like. Let's say that, okay? And I also say that too because the moon can sometimes be confusion, right? So we might be having trouble trusting our own truth a little bit and trying to stand strong in that. And then we're being told something from the outside and from the end of the week that shows us something different. And it's hard to not want to believe the Seven of Swords, right? Or think, it could be presented to us. It could be an argument or a differing opinion that's presented to us from a place of logic, but it's really not how we feel. It's really not what we intuit. It's really not what we desire, right? If that makes sense. And so we may have to look at that, or weigh that at the end of the week and then start to figure out a way forward. So let's look to the Wild Mystic Oracle Guidebook. So it is Deal. Wow. This is giving me definite devil energy card. And it does have the sign of Capricorn. So this is, I think, the devil. We're going to read Deal. When I see the word deal, I think that the deal the truth is within us, right? With the Seven of Wands and the moon. And we need to find it and we need to hold tight to it. We need to focus on it and we need to not give that up. The end of the week is this option, I feel like, with the Seven of Swords and this Deal card, where are we going to shift and settle? And I mean settle in a bad way. Like, are we going to give up on our what our intuition tells us is true for us in an effort to make something work that maybe doesn't need to or shouldn't, is my feeling with the Seven of Swords there. There's a reassessment or something that, the devil card oftentimes, and I don't know if this is the devil, but it certainly is giving me those vibes. I don't know if the devil, how do I want to say this? It's interesting too, because this skull is in front of this sun or this moon. This could be this situation standing in the way of us owning and being confused around our own intuition of what we know to be true. This could be a situation or person or idea that is in conflict with us. And the devil energy wants to keep us in a state of confusion, flux, unknown. And so that we can't access the moon that's behind it, which is our intuition, which is our truth. That moon, which is maybe murky or not quite always so clear, might be giving us information that doesn't necessarily, make sense to us. And that could be also the Seven of Swords too, is like this question of, am I lying to myself? Am I convincing myself of something else? Is this really my truth? Does this really work for me? And I'm going to be honest, there could be some confusion with this deal card here because it's like I get a couple different things. Like, how do we deal with this? Do we allow it to continue on, or do we look at it for what it is? It's kind of like the elephant in the room is the vibe that I'm getting towards the end of the week. So let's look at deal and see what it has to say for us. Give me 1 second. And what is this, though? Is it like goat? It's weird because it doesn't give the actual animal, so I'm not sure. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm not sure if this is a goat skull. It is goat. Okay. Deal. This card represents a pledge or contract. In Greek mythology, the ghost is associated with the god Pan, who is, in his essence, nature untamed. This god was later inverted by Christian mythology to symbolize the devil, and consequently, much lore regarding the goat is swept up in themes of evil, devilry, and deception. The goat was often associated with witchcraft and regarded... Oh, sorry, time to get up. With witchcraft and regarded as a witch's familiar, with some believing that the goat was the devil himself who came to make a pact with a fledgling witch. This card is a pact or promise, this card is a pact or promises to be made. It is a sign of bondage to a person, institution, or cause. The goat is highly adaptive and resilient. Goats are excellent climbers and browsing grazers, making them hardy animals. They are agile in difficult terrain and able to surmount great natural obstacles. The deal card may symbolize a dependable contract able to withstand significant changes and challenges. This card may be emblematic of a partnership, marriage, or union which has seen tough times but always manages to overcome difficulties. So that difficulty could be the Seven of Swords too, guys, and us trying to work that out against our emotions and what our intuition is telling us. I feel like we need to iron it out. We need to trust our own intuition around a situation rather than what we're being told by week's end. This card may also represent those born under the Western zodiac sign of Capricorn. Shadow reading. The shadow reading of the deal card indicates the god of the old world rather than the devil of the new. It is unbridled nature and spirit which cannot be tied down to material promise. The shadow reading of this card is chains broken, ridding oneself of an undesirable contract or freeing yourself from bondage. The correspondences are earth. The flora is almond, Solomon's seal, skullcap. The stones are sapphire, tanzanite, and jasper. And the spellwork is breaking unhealthy bonds or connections, releasing yourself from promises of a past life, blessing a covenant or promise. Now, normally on the weeklies, I don't shuffle the clarifiers because we get 3 cards for the week, but I did shuffle today. So I'm actually going to clarify this too because I kind of feel a little bit weird about what is going on here because it doesn't feel, it feels a bit like this could be a confusing week for us. And we've had such powerful readings previous. So let's see what's going on with these clarifiers. We have the Queen of Pentacles, which she was our ending card of last week. She holds true to herself. She's a master manifester. She is the divine feminine. She's connected to the earth and she is a provider, right? She's oftentimes associated too with self-care at the 3D level because she is earth energy. So there could be a moment here during this week where we need to, like I said, take our own counsel, listen to our own spirit, our own emotions, our own, emotional sort of, I don't want to say confusion, but if there's stuff that we're listening to it intuitionally through the moon, we have to trust it. We have to own it. The Queen of Pentacles is going to own it. She's going to settle into it and be strong in it, even if it doesn't necessarily work for others. The next card is the Wheel of Fortune. This is Sagittarian energy. It also presents like this, possible, anything is sort of possible. Things there's definitely a movement here with this card or a shift with this card. I feel like the shift in this card is the awareness of the deal card and the Seven of Swords. Something could be turning in a different direction at this time. What I do feel like is the Queen of Pentacles is strong and grounded, and she's going to make right decisions that are not only productive, but also emotionally centered, connected to her emotions and to the awareness of, what's going on with that moon card. The last card is the Two of Cups. Two of Cups is one of, I would say, probably my top three favorite cards in the deck. I think it's oftentimes, even though it's minor arcana, it's more romantic to me than the Lovers. Two people who are here under the catechist of healing, right? And they are sharing cups. They are mirroring each other, a man and a woman, or a couple. This could be the relationship to the self, first and foremost, right? Through trusting that moon and that Seven of Wands and holding tight to what we know to be true, even in the midst of sort of some sort of adversity. But I also feel like there is something going on here that it feels like these cards are telling us to remain strong while we transfer through this week, while we watch what is going on during this week. There's an opportunity here for things to shift with that Wheel of Fortune in the center there. Those things could shift. I feel like they could shift positively, certainly with the Queen of Pentacles and the Two of Cups at work in this reading. It could shift positively for a relationship, but we may have to look at what is going on underneath the surface. What is our perception or our desire versus the desire of someone else? Now, this could be any sort of a relationship, romantic or otherwise, but with that Two of Cups there and the Queen of Pentacles there, this feels kind of like, for some of you, it could be a romantic thing. There could be a truth here that's coming out that we could find confusing or scary, but we have to trust ourselves and what we know to be true. And I'm not trying to tell anybody to stay in anything that's not healthy or not right for them. But if something comes out in the wash this week, something that we weren't expecting or surprises us or feels like it's not in alignment with us, I get this feeling that there is this way to kind of adapt. And I never want to tell people to adapt to something that's not for them. But I get this feeling that there is this opportunity. We have the strength and the sort of groundedness of the Queen of Pentacles. First, we take care of ourselves. We put on our own oxygen mask before putting on the one to the person next to us in a plane crash, right? And I'm not saying that this is a plane crash, but this is definitely, to me, a realization or a truth that's coming out that may not be welcome or might be a little bit jarring or shocking or in disalignment with where we're at and what we want, right? But the Wheel of Fortune says that it's not, I get this feeling that the Wheel of Fortune is telling me like not all doors are closed, right? New doors may be opening, or there's something going on with this truth that could be strengthening our relationship either to ourselves through that Two of Cups or with the other party that we're dealing with. And there's that word deal. And the word deal kind of gives me this idea of, and the Wheel of Fortune gives me this idea of configuring or looking at the situation from different perspectives rather than just one short-sighted perspective, if that makes sense. It's almost like what we might realize at week's end could be a little bit, shocking or jarring, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is off the table. There's something that needs to shift or change, or a new route needs to be taken. And both parties need to be in alignment to that. The Two of Cups would indicate that both parties will at some point. Like, to me, that's the goal. Let's go to the grounding stone. Okay, we saw this grounding stone yesterday. I put them all back into the bag, and it is miracle. I feel like that miracle stone is giving me the same colors as the Wheel of Fortune in the center, and also the Queen of Pentacles dress, and the color of the catechist in the Two of Cups. We're supposed to ground in this miracle, or in the possibility of these things shifting or changing. If things seem worse at the surface than we understand them to be, right? Or if we have realizations this week, miracle says don't give up hope throughout this week. Remember, we're supposed to ground in this stone throughout the week. So whatever we might find ourselves fighting for, struggling with, trying to trust, even if it doesn't feel trustworthy, something tells me that it is. We can trust ourselves through the Queen of Pentacles, and we can trust the connection through the Two of Cups. We need to trust the universe as it shifts and changes things. It's almost like, and I'm getting this picture in my mind's eye of like, you know how you need to get a stain out of clothes? You have to wash it around and spin it around in a spin cycle of the washer to get that stain out, or that truth, or whatever is blocking this scenario. And to do so, you're going to need to be trusting your intuition, fighting for what you know to be true in your spirit and your soul, what you desire. Not necessarily, I mean, I don't want to say don't listen to whatever this is, but pay attention to what this is, this Seven of Swords. But it's not solid enough, is my feeling, to win against these three clarifiers. These three clarifiers say that there's flux in the room, there's change afoot, there's a shift taking place that's leading this divine feminine towards this connected love, but there's some things that need to come out in the wash. There's some truths that need to be revealed so that the path can open up, or the door can open, and the connection can become deeper. But it could be unsettling, or it could be surprising, or it could be in not, it could even be like sort of blocking us a little bit, or attempting to block us by being differing information than what we know to be true. So the Queen of Pentacles says, hold tight to that truth. Hold tight to that, provision to oneself while dealing with this scenario or this situation. Sort through your own truths, both spiritually and emotionally and, intuitionally, and hold tight to those things as this path shifts and changes. Miracles abound here. That's the thing. We have to believe in miracles. Miracles are physical, sort of, in my opinion, miracles are physical manifestations of spirit, right? So when we ground in that, whether it's our spirit guides, our God, the spirit of a loved one, or whoever we're dealing with, we have to trust that those miracles can take place. When we open ourselves to them and we stay, true to what we know, then we open up the doors for a deepening of this connection, is my feeling. We may have to do so in the face of like some sort of realization that might be a little bit unsettling. This deal card has got me a little bit kind of, I don't necessarily like things. I'm going to say this, things may need to be renegotiated this week within a situation or within a relationship. And they will be renegotiated, right? But we're going to do so from a place of strength and groundedness and compassion with the Queen of Pentacles. And we're going to watch the universe open up new avenues and new ways of changing this. But something here between the deal card and the Seven of Swords isn't right. And I don't necessarily know that I feel like it's on our side. It may be on the side of the situation or the person. But ultimately, if we believe in miracles, or we believe in our own strength and our own truth, that is going to steer us in the right direction towards this deepening of the connection of the Two of Cups, whether or not that is with ourselves or with this person or situation, or maybe something new that we're unaware of. That can also be the Wheel of Fortune bringing us towards something new. So that is your forecast. I hope that makes sense. I don't want to scare anybody. I don't get a super ominous feeling. The clarifiers actually save this reading for me a lot. And the word miracle says that we're supposed to ground in, almost like it's telling us to ground in that Wheel of Fortune card, that everything happens for a reason and that we won't be steered astray, right? The Queen of Pentacles can feel and make the correct decisions to move forward in productive and precise manners towards moving herself towards where she needs to be, but we need to trust ourselves over whatever we're being told or whatever we're experiencing that's different than what we know to be true, and then ground in the miracle of change, of possibility, and allow whatever stain that needs to be washed off of this sort of reading per se, we need to allow it to be released. and then be brave and move forward and trust the miracle and almost like move towards this Two of Cups. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. I'm going to leave it at that. If any of you guys have questions, please feel free to leave me a question or comment. I think that this week is going to show us a fair amount, and I think that it's a powerful week still. That is your reading. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, focus on the miracles, focus on your own strength, focus on what you know to be true for you during this week. Even if things come out in the wash that aren't necessarily in alignment with that, don't let that shake you. Ground in the miracles and stay on the path. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.